not normal to be a founder, and you have to accept that you're not normal, you're a founder, right?
But I'm not willing to burn out. I'm not willing to get sick.
And if you look at the data, founders work 60 to 100 hours a week. But how does it affect your personal relationship, family?
Because she's completely blind to what's happening in your life.
Stress is not normal. Being miserable is not normal.
A couple of people can completely change the dynamics of the whole thing.
The branding team really troubled me today to tell that we have to speak about well-being of founders. What is your daily habits, daily routine?
So I'm a gamer as well. Like I love playing, PS5.
A serial entrepreneur who got lucky the first time, I think.
Also investors. Do investors stress you out?
My mom and dad really didn't like the idea of us doing anything in crypto back then. At that point, I said that I'll never work again.
And you have a successful business. It is possible to have all, right?
I do have certain calendars, like Saturday night I'm with friends, Sunday with family.
I'm not sure if they will accept the true me, but my childhood friends will accept my true me.
Hi, this is Shafeekh here, founder of Finanshels.com. And with me, Santosh is joining, Hanish, Szilvia. I'll give a quick intro of everyone and then we could start. So Santosh and I, we know quite some times back. We met in a community, started talking about fundraising, and then, we became friends. He became our customer. We became his customer. So it's a long story back. And Santosh, I'll let you to give an intro and then.
Yeah, very interesting. Sort of like in our first meeting itself, like our wavelengths completely matched, and we were we're talking to founders who are having these ambitious dreams, and there was one real person who was talking like numbers to me, and I was very fascinated by his experience and his life overall, like he got himself into the position of building Finanshels.com, very impressive platform. Of course, we became customers, but a little bit about myself. I've been in this journey building startups now for over a decade. A serial entrepreneur who got lucky the first time. I think the first time we built a AI Web3 startup, the crypto world. My mom and dad really didn't like the idea of us doing anything in crypto back then. And it was sort of like a taboo topic that, bad stuff happens in the crypto world. And today it's globally accepted. We exited that business. At that point, I said that I'll never work again. We had thought that we made it. And then me and my co-founder, we went traveling a little bit, then created the second startup, hearing a lot of complaints from drivers. We built a rideshare company in San Francisco called Zero, where we charge zero commissions to drivers. Today, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Binary. We operate the country's largest network of connected screens in ride-hail taxis. It's an initiative from the Roads and Transport Authority, RTA, HALA as well. So we've had the opportunity to work with the government a little bit.
Yeah, I think if you have gone in taxis in UAE, right, you must have seen that screen. Mm-hmm. So that belongs to him.
Yeah, so we're trying to build that in-flight entertainment-like experience on ground and shared mobility. And I think fundamentally the thesis was that cars will become autonomous and you will not be driving a car anymore. What happens in that future is you don't have to just listen to radio or podcasts. You can actually see podcasts or you can watch content, play games. So yeah, it started with that deep passion of understanding shared mobility overall and sort of seeing that that future we will unlock the final digital surface. That's what we call it, where people will spend time. People spend time at home, at work, and commuting in between, right? So that in between time, we wanted to capture and build a operating system, an infrastructure layer between the passenger and the vehicle. So that's what we do.
Awesome. And Hanish, I'm meeting first time, by the way.
Oh, really? So mine's nothing as fascinating as that. Hanish, owner of PALMFIT. So PALMFIT, we have an ambition to be the UAE or the GCC's premium sports brand. So we started our journey in COVID. We're just a kind of a pipe dream, right? We were never anticipating the brand to go to this level. So like I said, we started in COVID. with just an idea of a very small collection. And then through time and conversation and a network, we've built a brand that's now partnering up with like tier 1 cricketers, looking at rugby clubs, looking at football clubs, as well as having like a gym line. And then through that, we're going to expand into golf, paddle, tennis, because I think there is a real gap in, especially in the UAE market, for premium activewear. There's a lot of brands out there that have very similar styles and very similar collections. Like shorts look the same, it's just a different logo. There isn't like a brand that's trying to fit that premium market. And also the landscape of an average gym user has completely changed. If you look at it 10 years ago, people would go into the gym with clothes that they didn't really mind messing up, because the argument was, well, I'm sweating in it, it doesn't really matter. Whereas now, if you go into the gym, everyone's taking a selfie, everyone's posting about their gym workout, everyone's doing something to look good in the gym as well as working out. So we want to try and tap into that market where people are proud of what they're wearing. And then the conversation around, I'm just sweating in it, is not really there, right? People now, if you go to the gym, are wearing premium brands in the gym. Whereas if you look at it 5 years ago, that just wasn't there. So yeah, we're looking to expand in the GCC and then move into kind of the UK, Europe, and then see where this journey takes us.
I think you were a banker before, right?
Yeah.
Hanish? How did you get into this?
Like I say, it's just
fitness,
COVID. Yeah.
gym.
So I've always been quite active. Like growing up, I always played a lot of sports. It was just something my parents did. They kind of encouraged us to play sports. Obviously, coming from an Indian background, they would have ideally wanted me to be a doctor or a dentist or something like that.
Or a cricketer.
Yeah, or cricketer. Yeah, that,
Engineer. Engineer is the default.
like that.
Cricketer
that,
is like, no.
Yeah, that just didn't happen, right? So I went down. Actually, at uni, I did like a genetics degree with the plan of potentially moving into like medicine. I didn't enjoy it, and then I got into banking, and it was just COVID happened. So I was always quite active in the gym and stuff, and I just saw there was kind of a gap here. Like there isn't a premium brand in the GCC, and then just through networking and speaking to people and taking a bit of a chance, I thought, let's just create a gym brand. So I literally went on Alibaba, bought a domain, bought a couple of leggings and sports bras, and then just like I said, through a conversation network, it just kind of spiraled into this kind of brand that we don't know where it's going to go, but it's obviously going in some form of upward trajectory. And then yeah, fun to see where the journey begins.
Interesting. And Szilvia and I also very old friends. I don't know where did we meet first time, but we became friends.
Me neither. It's been a couple of years by now.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes. And she's
Yes.
one of the few people I have seen, who are super disciplined in life. Like she wakes up at 5 and, start the day, like has a lot of wellness into her life. And she runs a company called LIVVITY. So LIVVITY actually helps leaders, other people to become, she coach basically them to other people to become leaders. And also I think you do a lot of stuff in well-being, right? So this is what her passion, and I see and she introduced me to a couple of her friends also. All of them
Yes.
became our customers. Interesting. So we have a lot of like people in gym who does like coaching, and I think her network, a lot of people are our customers. So I hang out with them generally, and this is why, because I get a lot of insights, how they run a day, like very different than us, like typical founders.
And
Typical
from a
founders.
wellness, do you see a lot of change in the UAE and GCC compared to? Because what I've seen from a wellness is kind of like a buzzword at the minute, right? Like similar
is.
to our world, right? Sustainability is kind of like a buzzword. Do you see kind of the GCC's landscape of wellness being different to any other regions, or is it kind of the same?
I think it's quite different, actually. I think the lifestyle here and in general, how people are more trying to take care of themselves versus when I can really look back to Europe, where I come from, how it is different. There people are not so much into lifestyle. They are a lot more into the everyday hustle, bustle and stress. I think here in this extremely fast-paced environment, people really try to pay a little more attention to themselves. So I see a difference here. But shall I say a couple of words about LIVVITY?
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Szilvia Vitos and I'm the co-founder of LIVVITY. So I spent myself 15 years in corporate, climbing the ladder, very ambitious girl coming from Hungary originally, spent 6 years in Germany and now 10 years in Dubai. And it's very interesting because at the peak of my career, where I was in a pretty high position in an executive management team of a multinational organization, leading a large team of 40 people, that's where I felt most miserable. Like in the showroom, it looked like such a nice success, right? It's I got the title, I got the respect as a leader, I got the family, I got a nice looking life in Dubai, and within, just empty, miserable. It was like crazy every single day, right? And that's where it was an important crossroad for me. Actually, my boss, the last one back then, gave me a real incredible favor because I already had my resignation letter ready. Just the date was missing, but I couldn't really hand it in because I didn't want to let my team down. That was holding me back. But then my boss that time was a little faster, and 2 weeks past an incredibly positive performance review, he decided to let me go. And I was just so happy about it. I even forgot to ask why, or why me, because he didn't really have a reason. And that's where I decided that this is a line to be drawn. And I went on to the different path and entrepreneurial journey, which was an incredibly challenging, and it is still at times an incredibly challenging mindset shift. Because when you grow up in your whole life in the corporate environment with the corporate mindset, while those of you who have experienced that will know that entrepreneurship is just the exact opposite. So that's where LIVVITY came to life. And initially and the last 4 years, basically, I spent going back to the corporate, going back to help those senior corporate leaders achieve more with less stress so that they can connect with themselves more, and rather than experience that misery and emptiness, feel the fulfillment, put meaning behind what they are doing, and have the tools at hand so that they can manage the pressure, the everyday stress. And I'm right now at a crossroad with LIVVITY again, and diverting a little bit the focus, not so much focusing anymore on the corporate and leaders predominantly, but opening up the doors more to the general public and bringing it as a lifestyle movement. That's the ultimate goal. So my approach, and then it's really leading by example. So the way how I live and our family lives life with the mindfulness, with the emotional intelligence, with continuously implementing tools that brings the meaning and the fulfillment into the everyday life, connecting to nature, prioritizing sustainability as such, so many elements, community, tribe, bring that all together and teach people how you can live life differently, that stress is not normal. Being miserable is not normal. We put this meaning behind because we believe that's what we see around us, right? This is in our environment, so we accept that as a belief that this is the normal. But who sets the standards? Any of us can change that. And this is the mission we are on, to help people become alive again and connect back to their true authentic self and find that meaning in life. And that's what we do.
See, the branding team really troubled me today to tell that we have to speak about well-being of founders, right?
But I think she has an excellent market opportunity, no? And now that you're also making this kind of like pivot happen where you're moving away from just corporates to general public, I think there's a huge market opportunity when it comes to founders, because I think I was reading some statistics so that I'm prepared for today. But
I was about to talk about that.
Overall, like this experience for me as well, for the last 11 years building startups, we have very high highs and very low lows as founders. It's, even though you say that like it should not be considered as the norm, it's a norm for the founders, because right from the sort of like set go point, the kind of stress levels that you have to expect for running a company are significantly higher. I think there are some statistics that are suggesting that over 70% of founders are actually going through mental stress and like mental health issues, right?
Probably even higher.
So I think you have a great market opportunity in front of you. And I would sort of like really sort of resonate with any kind of an entity that can become this sort of mental health mentor for startup founders, because we should try and solve the problems that we first face as a community. And I think this is a crisis. If founders don't figure out a solution to this, then all the cool things that they are building that can predominantly change the world with their bold ambitions, these will never come to life if they don't survive this crunch. For the last 11 years, like surviving like also a pandemic, and congratulations for you to be building a business in pandemic.
Absolutely.
But I had to run a business in pandemic, and the kind of pressure that era, like that time put us through or made us go through as a team, I think we will not face that kind of situation again in a generation to come. How businesses reacted to it, how founders went through that kind of turmoil. I had a team of 50 plus people, and we had to let go of a lot of people at that time. These things tend to take a lot of toll on the founders, because responsibility is like always in the hand of the founder, and everybody is looking at him for the answers or her. But sometimes he doesn't have those answers. And on one hand, he has to sort of like balance this idea of like constantly wanting to impress everyone and saying that everything is okay, even though he knows that under the hat, like what's happening is really the company is going to close down if this situation kind of continues. To still sort of like put a poker face and say that everything is going to be okay, that's not easy. And it takes a lot of toll on founders. So I would sort of like really encourage you to also look at founders as people that you can approach and you can sort of like help in that wellness journey. Because it's very difficult for us to even accept that we need help, because that shows a weakness of a founder, and he doesn't want to project that as well. So I think more than sort of like a wellness sort of space, I think if you can become that friend or that mentor, that founders really feel comfortable having conversations. And I think that's how when we connected as well, Shafeekh, I think the idea of community, the tribe concept that you spoke about, this really resonated with me, to come together as people who are going through the same kind of journey and sharing what issues they face and trying to find solutions amongst each other as a tribe. I think if this can be done in a more structured manner, we never had any kind of structure. It was more like, lads coming together and trying to figure out like some solutions. But if someone like her can
I think the
sort of like be a
conversation,
catalyst.
So I think these type of conversations are super important, right? Because like you said, as a founder, the highs are super high, right? Yeah. Like you say, if you go in a taxi and you see someone using your screen, like for us going to the gym and seeing people wearing our clothing, they're super, super high. But I think as a founder, and a lot of our founders are just, these are our first companies. We're not, multi-entrepreneurs. Like this is our baby. We think we're going to grow into this amazing brand. So you go into it with this expectation of this amazing product and everything's going to be really good. So like I said, the highs are really high, but the lows are almost an unknown low. Like you don't know, like you have no idea what to do. Yeah. And as a founder, especially a very early stage founder, you don't have the community around you to kind of navigate through that. You have friends, you have family, and everyone says, oh, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. But if you had real constructive feedback from people that have been in your position, it almost validates your position more. So I think what you're doing is really, really good, because you're going to build a community or as you said, a tribe with people that have been in very similar situations or very similar positions. So when those lows do become low, you almost have a way of navigating through that pathway, and then almost that could even turn into a high, right? So I think what you're doing is very, very good.
Thank you so much. And that's exactly the point, right? Creating that safe space and judgmental free space. That's what I have seen also in the leadership era. I have been working with several senior leaders, like in really high positions, leaders who By the way, none of them gives testimonial with a name and a title because they want confidentiality, right? This is also that fear of anyone will find out that they asked for help. They don't
Yes.
want
Yes.
anyone
That's what I
to
said,
know
like,
that.
we don't want to project a weakness.
Yes, absolutely. But when there is a safe place where you can go and you can admit that I'm stuck, I have no idea how I find answers. And very often, by the way, even with my clients, I see that tendency that we sit down for a session, whatever is on their mind and heart and just want to find solution for. Sometimes I don't even need to ask a single question because
You need
just
a
by
place to
being
have a vent out.
in that safe environment, just to let them speak out, give them the space to speak it out, they answer their own question.
Yeah.
They come up with their own solution and they are ready to move on. It's very, very powerful and very, very important because especially as it doesn't matter whether we talk about the senior leader or the founder, entrepreneur, whoever who is in these high pressure, high stress environment, those people simply do not have the time, the energy, maybe even the willingness to go and research the tools, the ideas that can actually help them. And having the knowledge and the information is extremely powerful. When these people can find out and become aware of what stress really does physiologically to their body, to their brain, how their brain is shutting down when they get into this stress spiral, how creativity is non-existent in that space. So then they can really learn why and how it is so important to have the tools to calm down as soon as possible and get themselves back into a calm state, because this is where you can be truly productive. This is where you can make real exciting changes happen, not when you are stressed out. You can say you were on for 20 hours in a day and you are, I don't know, in high beta brainwave the whole time and just going stressed out, like burning. It's like driving a Ferrari in Abu Dhabi on the track in gear 1 and just burn the engine out, right? You can tell I love driving. And this is what you are doing with your body. But you get to learn to respect both your body and your mind and dance with that. Because there are really simple tools. It's not rocket science, but there are simple tools that you can one by one implement into your everyday life, which will guide you through those difficult scenarios and situations.
See, I think one of the things I was looking at some data points, why this is happening to a lot of founders, right? One of the thing is fear of missing out. So fear of missing out is that you always have a inner thing that if anything goes wrong, I will fail. The only way for me to be counter the failure is work extra hours, push your limits maximum so that you run faster, right? Second thing is moving different functions. One day you will be in sales, other day you will be in marketing,
Chief everything officer.
Yes. And then you have to take a lot of decisions and you will have the fatigue to take those decisions. That actually burns you out. And if you look at the data, founders work 60 to 100 hours a week as per the data. So that's huge. They don't have time for their personal relationships, friends, family. So how do you navigate this journey is more important, right?
And I think there's a big stark contrast from the corporate world to the entrepreneurial world. And having also had that experience of working in corporate, we look at growth rates in corporate, which is like, if we had a 2% growth rate on a year-on-year basis, we would say, hey, good job, like we grew as a company, or 5% maximum. Startups are going through extremely unrealistic expectations. Between every round that we raise, we need to show growth rates of like 100% or 1,000%. And this should be normal. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult for you to raise new rounds, right? In our case, for instance, like when we started like from 200 cars to 2,000 cars in a year span, it's unbelievable. Like you're trying to build this kind of network and you're already taking over established media companies in Dubai. And you're saying, like that should be job done. Today we operate the country's largest network of connected screens should be great, right? But that's not enough, because now you have to scale to new markets and you have to grow into more regions, and you're this unrealistic sort of like growth trajectories that founders and startups have to go through, and them not being able to communicate with anyone that, hey, like, I'm burning out. They have to accept that burning out is normal and embrace it, I think. So it requires a specific kind of a person to be running a hyper growth startup. I really feel like over the last 11 years, I've realized it's not normal to be a founder, and you have to accept that you're not normal, you're a founder. I think these are people who learn to live in chaos and sort of understand these kind of expectations, because your investors you can't reach out to and you can't talk to them and say that, hey, like, I need a little bit of help, because you're trying to impress him, you're trying to impress your employees. This constant impression that you're trying to build that everything is okay, everything is great, and we are scaling, never allows you to sort of say that, I need a break, I need to sort of like take a step back. So what worked for me, at least, Shafeekh, and like, the way we saw it is, whenever that point comes, consciously I started taking a step back. To sort of say that I don't need anybody to tell me to take a step back. I will take a step back now myself. This is very important, I think. Also, I think transparency and communicating how you want to grow your business and how you want to do it in a sustainable way versus these unrealistic sort of like growth expectations. Transparently communicating and explaining why you're doing what you're doing right from the get-go, I think it's very important as well. Because as you sort of like get venture-backed, once this venture capital starts trickling in, you have to also like make adjustments as a founder. You have to also say that this is the part of the game, and you are expected to grow at that certain goals and certain milestones. But you should accept that it's a completely different reality to corporate. It's not the 5% growth that you're looking at. You're looking at 100% growth on a year-on-year basis. And it's the unreal is the real, and like the abnormal is the normal.
I think that, like I said, that goalpost is forever changing, right? So no matter how big the football pitch is or field is, that goalpost will be, 10 steps in front of you. As soon as you get there, is 100 steps in front of you, 200. So it keeps growing and growing. So that mindset, I think, especially in the like kind of Dubai or UAE, right? This kind of environment is always forever wanting more. A lot of people here want to better themselves, which is obviously quite a inspiring environment to be in, but also can be quite challenging, right? A lot of people don't just step back and think what they've built and just kind of just take a step back, enjoy it. It's always, like I said, the goalpost kind of mindset, right? Okay, I've got to X, I need to get to Y, I need to get to Z. Yeah. So from our perspective, what we tried to do, we obviously bootstrapped a lot of it. And from my side, I was like my own T-boy. I was like the chef, I was like the canteen, I was like the cleaner, I was everything, right? Like I couldn't do everything, right? I had a product that I wanted to launch. I needed to think what my best skill sets were and then hire people to be able to manage the things that I couldn't do. So two things, right? It takes a bit of a beating on your ego because you think, I can do everything. Like, why can't I design product? Why can't I be logistics? Why can't I do all of that? So again, your ego takes a bit of a bashing, but then long-term playbook is you get the right people in to do the tasks that are better suited for them in the kind of the grand scheme of the business. So that's something we looked at straight away. We were like, okay, we need to bootstrap. Where do we put our cash flow? So we hired the correct people. So obviously I didn't interview my own T-boy, right? I could have done stuff like that, and same as logistics. But I think the Dubai economy or the Dubai kind of network is both good for your business, but it can also be kind of detrimental to your business because you're forever competing with so many other entrepreneurs, so many other founders, so many other brands, which from my perspective is obviously a good thing, but also it can be a negative.
And Dubai always runs very fast, right?
It's super fast, right?
But also I think like a
how
lot of
it is
founders...
in San Francisco, Europe and London. And
So the hustle culture is very strong, right? Like in San Francisco, for instance, the way we are able to get resources in Dubai at the kind of rates that we are able to get resources, talent. A lot of people sort of like talk about the financial structures of Dubai, setting up a company in Dubai versus setting up a company in Europe or like in Americas is so much more affordable. But when you look at it from a overall sort of like perspective, the kind of talent that you can bring into this country so quickly from everywhere in the world, that's unbelievable. I think this we should really give it to Dubai, that they have created that kind of like ecosystem which allows founders to bring in the best of the talent from India, from Philippines, from like Ukraine, or like wherever. Like it allows you to say that like, hey, like I cannot afford to have like the Google Meta kind of like developers working for us. But if we are able to source good enough talent, it's not like a green card process which is going to take 5 years to like get this person working in San Francisco, right? Like, and that is a real big advantage. I think to just double click on what you said, what I really felt is that delegation is extremely important for founders, that we try and delegate as much as we can. And in San Francisco, for instance, there's this big trend where one of the first hires that is happening is a hire of chief of staff. The person who is responsible to build your team, this person is coming in very early part of core team. I'm saying top first five employees kind of level.
But I think having right people, does it solve the problem of founders burning out?
Till some extent, I think. But it doesn't mean that the founder stops burning. He just stops burning in those areas that he has now sort of like has these new people to look after.
I think it's more the unknown, right? So I spoke about the kind of the unknown questions as a founder, right? Like you're not going to know the answers to everything. But if you have the right people in the right roles, they've either experienced what you're going through, they can kind of understand, fix, or even kind of preempt all the issues. So when as a founder, you're taking on responsibilities that you don't really have the experience in, you're going to solve a problem that takes a lot longer, right? Whereas if you can just get X into Y, it kind of gets fixed quite quickly, and then you can move on to building your product out a lot more quicker.
Yeah, I totally agree to that, by the way. And I fully agree with everything that both of you just said. Hiring people early on is really the recipe to not get burned out early on as an entrepreneur. And I think this is something which is a very hard swallow for many of the people because of this belief that I can wear all of the hats and I can do everything. Sure, I can learn how to edit a video. Sure, I can learn how to technically set up the email campaign, or I can learn everything, copyright, you name it, right? There are hundreds of things we can list down. But then what is the 5% that you as a founder get to focus on, which is going to move the needle, which is going to support your organization to go and grow towards the direction that will satisfy your investors, for example. So absolutely, delegation. And then whether or not it will prevent the burnout, well, it depends how well you are able to delegate.
Yes.
That's another skill.
How good that team is.
How good the team is and how well do you teach them what they get to do. So
how much do you empower them? Like how much do you... I mean, a lot of founders start with this idea that like, hey, like I'm gonna build this. This is my idea. This is my baby. I really feel that like, immediately first you should try and look for a co-founder, and you should like, it should then not be your idea. It should be our idea. And the same vision has to be, I mean, from a storytelling standpoint also, when you're talking to your investors as well, they should feel like it's their company. So then it all becomes a little bit more collaborative. Otherwise, if founders really feel that this is my idea and this is my company and everybody else is playing support to the idea that I'm trying to champion, then the pressure is so much more on the founder, I really feel. Like if you try and sort of like create this collective where everyone sort of like is playing a small part towards a grander vision, and it's everyone's vision. If you can build that, like I think that's the dream.
And Szilvia, I have a question for you. What is your daily habits, daily routine? Because this is kind of playbook we want to adopt.
To keep the calmness, the non-negotiable, never negotiable is the morning routine, which you remembered, the 5 a.m. club. So to dial in on the story, I hear it from many people, and I used to tell the same. I never been a morning person. And you don't have to be a morning person. You can become one if you make the choice. So I was still back in corporate when I came across the 5 a.m. Club from Robin Sharma. And as I was reading the book, I was just so inspired to try it out that rather than sleeping in until whatever, I don't remember even what time, I just put the alarm, disciplined every single day, 4:45 a.m. And I just went through the protocol exactly as he was describing. Today it's of course different, and it was very funny because the way of implementing that quite tough habit when you are not a morning person, or when you are fighting that belief of not being a morning person, it's exactly the way how he was describing it in the book, with the 3 phases of, in the beginning comes this excitement. It's hard. If it wasn't hard, then it wasn't a real change. In the middle 20 days-ish, it is where it becomes really messy. That's where you want to quit. That's where you start doubting yourself. Why the hell did I even start? It was a really bad idea. And then slowly you move into the phase where it settles in, and now it's the new you. And that's just an example. It goes with any habit like that. Actually running 95%, by the time we are 35, we are running 95% of the day on the subconscious automated programming. That's what runs our life. And we only got the 5% of conscious awareness to get hold of this. So I really love that you said, Santosh, that you just consciously decided to take a step back, because that's what it takes to become aware. That's the very first step with anything, the stress, the burnout, the pressure, the whatever is not going well, all the belief systems, become aware, then you have the responsibility to do something about it. So 5 a.m. Club. Until today, ever since, it's been now 5 years, I'm very disciplined of getting up early, and I love this early morning hour, just the me time, and spending some precious time with myself. I changed the protocol because I was learning it with Sharma's protocol, but now I create my own, right? So depending on what the daily schedule looks like, the absolutely minimum is half an hour, 45 minutes. If I can afford the 2 hours, I will do 2 hours. But for me, it's very important to set an intention for the day. It carries such an incredible power, whether you do it for the day, for the week, or even for the year ahead. It just somehow this energy that you put out, basically that you have this intention to get something done or to achieve something, and then you even forget about it. And the next you notice is that you are wondering, how did this just happen? I had that intention, but I forgot about it. It just happened, because we are all energy, and energy is very powerful, and where we put our attention, that carries energy, and it's not very tangible, but that's what it is. So I do intention setting, I do reflection, I do meditation, at least 15-20 minutes. Very, very
it's been
important.
Going for years.
Because
that's the main thing.
My co-founder is also like a big meditation
yeah.
preaching.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza. If any of you is familiar with him, I keep going to his retreats as well. I'm just absolutely, I'm fascinated by I'm someone who needs the data. I need the information. I can't deal with the woo-woo. I need to understand what it is. And he just brings it on a silver plate, and then you get to implement. So it really is about reflecting on how I want this day to unfold, and finding my own center and my own calmness. And I swear to you, every single day as I do it, it sets me up for the whole day. Looking through my goals, reading through my vision, my mission, just as a small reminder, because we sometimes forget the 95% of subconscious is extremely powerful.
Yes.
We underestimate that.
Yes.
So just to consciously remind ourselves, this is what I want to remember, and this is how I want to act and behave throughout the day, whatever challenges come my way. It will really help you stay on course. It helps me, at least, tremendously. It is so much more difficult for anyone to take me out of my calm, powerful state of being and get me into a stressed out phase. because when you are dialing in on gratitude, which is one of the highest frequency emotion, it will be just difficult to get you down into stress, which is a very low frequency emotion, or the emotions that are connecting to stress response. So that's the major one. And then throughout the day, I'm trying to, again, depending on the schedule, but having micro micro movements of just a quick reset, even if it's a 5 minutes, making sure to take breaks. I tried several times the Pomodoro, which is the 25 minutes focused work, 5 minutes break and reset. Doesn't really work for me because I'm like, in 25 minutes, like I just getting into the groove. I don't want to stop now, so I prefer to take at least a 90 minutes or 2 hours and then take a longer break, like a half an hour, 40 minutes, and then go play with the dog or something that really takes me away from the focus and gives my brain a break. And what I find is that when I'm able to set boundaries and differentiate, lock in times for this is me time, this is where I go to the gym, another very important regular habit. So let's talk more. But when I have this logged in, this is me time, and I respect that same way. Like when I come to this podcast or when I go have a business meeting, it's equal importance because I know this is what will run the machine. And then I equally respect the time when I sit and focus, whether it's strategic work, whether it's meeting, whoever business-wise, whatever it is, right? But having the focus and attention there. It's practice and it's skill. Also being in the here and now, because we tend to be continuously either in the past or in the future. Like fear and anxiety are very past-driven emotions. We are fearful that something what we experienced in the past and we didn't like will happen again. And worry and co-similar emotions are very future-driven. We are worried about something to happen that we're most likely never going to happen.
Most probably something bad is going to happen.
Yes, but...
Fearful.
Yes, but if you look at here and now, right now, and now, like what is your real problem?
Yes.
Like right now, whatever you can think of, it's either something happened earlier today, yesterday, or might happen in the future or not. This is how our mind is playing with us. Our mind is extremely powerful and it's truly a mind game. And just one more thought to this whole conversation we were talking about is that, yes, it's the general perception, and especially in Dubai, it's extremely fast-paced. Most of the entrepreneurs are on a very high hype way of going about every single day. But then it's linked to the belief system, right? And like you consciously could take the decision to step back, anyone can do that. And we hold the power to do that. It is a mind game. I'm not saying it's easy. It's absolutely not easy. And it's also good to start just small, because every small success will be like, oh, wow, it can be this way as well. I took the decision in the very beginning that I hustled and bustled enough in corporate. Sure, I'm in a very privileged position, having a very supportive husband, and he keeps my back free a little bit. So it's a different type of pressure as well with my journey. Nevertheless, I took the decision that I'm not willing to burn out. I'd rather go a little slower and still having the ambitious goals of achieving certain success and beyond, but I'm not willing to burn out. I'm not willing to get sick, to neglect my relationships, to whatever, right? I want to do it in a healthy way, and I want to prove to the world that it's possible to make it happen in a way that you remain healthy, your relationships remain healthy, and you still can thrive. Because I think this is a big one that many people think either or.
And how do you identify the stage of burnout? Now, for me, my last company, I went like 2-3 years, went on full scale. So, I don't even remember I took a day break. So every day goes, come at like 1, 2 o'clock from the office. And then eventually it bursted, right? Like, I kind of end up quitting that company. Then when I went back and I had a retrospection, what went wrong. And then when I realized I should have taken a 10 days break, then I should have been in a much better position to communicate to my other stakeholders. So I couldn't realize that I burned out,
I think burnout is like, I think there's stages of burnout. I think people have this image. If you mention burnout, it's, you're just completely wiped out, right? But like for me, there were stages. There's emotional burnout, there's financial burnout, relationship burnout. Every founder, from my perspective, I faced one or the other, right? So in the early days, you're creating products that you don't know if people are going to buy this, right? So you've invested a lot of cash flow into something, almost with the hope that someone kind of likes your idea, but you've invested so much cash in it, right? So there's financial burnout there. Then it's, obviously I have a family. So I have a 2-year-old. So you talked about Robin Sharma and waking up at 5 a.m. He's my Robin Sharma. Like he wakes me up at 5 a.m., right? So even that, relationship burnout, because you're going into something where you're hoping it could
work out, and then you have financial instability.
Right? So you have to balance the books very, very early. So you have financial burnout. So there's different stages of burnout, which I think needs to be identified quite early on. And this is where the conversation that you come in, right? I think when I mentioned burnout, I think everyone has this image, but no one's really talking about different stages of burnout. How do you identify that? How do you protect yourself against that? How do you even deal with that? Because I'm almost certain all of us at one point has faced some form of burnout, whether it's the kind of the end burnout or, the staged burnout.
This is very interesting concept. Even I didn't think of that breakdown of different ways of people burn out, right?
No, I think I completely sort of resonate there. Like all of the things that he mentioned are also stemming out of this core idea that I'm responsible for this. I'm responsible for all the expectations that the family has and for the money that I have invested and like the company. That core idea of being responsible for all that is happening around you on that one person creates that kind of a burnout. But also, Shafeekh, like it may be that you cannot take a 10-day holiday, for instance, but taking a step back doesn't mean like you have to take a long break. For the last 3 years, I have not traveled much. I've not taken a lot of holiday. But I think in one of these little founder community events, I met another cool friend of mine, now also used to be a founder at another company called Khalid. I used to be a gamer before I got into like turning into an entrepreneur. And I had stopped gaming. I was all work for about 6 or 7 years, while sort of like having these kind of conversations, like getting to know each other. I sort of like briefly mentioned that, hey, I used to be a e-gamer as well. And I used to play games. And he said that, hey, dude, we should play sometime, right? So when you want to take that step back can be whatever that is disconnecting you from that real world. Because that your world is demanding you, asking for you all of the time. But it's okay to take an hour break and do something completely different. And what I've realized is that even that 1 hour break that I used to go again, I started playing games with Khalid, like online gaming. And like I was like, I started getting back into that vibe. But overall, that 1 hour allowed my subconscious, as you rightly said, like the subconscious is very powerful. There are a lot of problems that I couldn't find a solution when I was just sort of thinking about that problem. But while I allowed myself to do something completely different, away from like that standard work topic that I was working on, the subconscious has the power to find the solution for you. But if you constantly keep doing the same thing and you're expecting all the results to come, then you're not allowing that subconscious to trigger those solutions for you. So this conscious sort of step back that I was able to take, call it through gaming, or I started taking my daughter for a park thing. Like it used to be her mom and her thing to go to the park, but I said, no, I will do it. It allowed me that time to sort of like focus on maybe my daughter a little bit or the game a little bit. But in the back of the head, you're still thinking about your other child, the startup, right? And suddenly you will find solutions to problems that the company is facing. And you'll be like damn, didn't think about that. Then you can go back and start fixing those things. But I think this we should try. I really feel that whatever that other activity is, you can like you defined it as going to the gym, getting back into fitness. And maybe that other activity might be a little bit different for everyone. And I hope that everyone gets into fitness. And I think I need to consciously push myself and, sort of get into that that regiment as well. And I hope I find a great friend like you, like Khalid pushed me into gaming, like maybe Szilvia can push me into back to the gym kind of routine. But I think that companion and that co-pilot in your life who can sort of take you there will allow you to disconnect. And I think disconnect is very important for founders because that allows a lot of doors to open as well.
And for me, sometimes the problem is if I disconnect, right, I start questioning myself. Am I being lazy, not taking care of things, right?
Because am I saying an excuse? Tools, right? To be able to notice that, acknowledge that, and do something about it. Because, and I totally hear you. I used to feel so guilty.
Yes.
So
Same.
guilty if I sat down in a coffee shop, even with the laptop to work, for me, work equals suffering. Sweat, blood, sit in a dark, ugly office, suffer. That's work. That was my forever definition. That's how I grew up. That's what I have learned from home. And so sitting in a coffee shop, in a somewhat nicer environment, even if it's with my laptop and I'm there with the intention to work, knowing that I'm a lot more productive there than in a dark, ugly office, I just felt so guilty. So it's really having the tools to realize that, become aware of that, and do something about it. Because what you just brought up is extremely important, creating that white space. Because when you know that is your go-to, it's a tool, by the way. That's why I said it's nothing rocket science. But having a tool and knowing that, okay, I know I have all this pressure. I know I get to deliver, but if I get myself do something else, go play squash, go gym, go out in nature and just have a walk. These are the times where the biggest ideas will hit you, or maybe small ideas, but solutions will fall in, right?
Because the conscious is trying to do something completely different. It is focusing on the walk, it's focusing on the nature. And I really feel that at that stage, that subconscious says that, hey, did you think about this? That inner voice in you, and
so this is actually called the flow state. You may have heard of that. That's a psychological term. It's been
what is flow state?
It's been coined by a Hungarian Canadian psychologist, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, a beautiful name. Only Hungarians can pronounce it properly. But he coined the term flow, and flow is actually this beautiful state where, if you remember any time where you just forgot about time, where suddenly it's whoa, where did the last 2 hours gone, right? When you get lost into the act, whether you do some art or you play with your kids or you just have fun with your friends in a social circle, those are the moments of flow state. It is a specific brainwave where your brain rests, your whole body rests as well. So your body can focus on its functionalities. It doesn't, it's not falling into the stress response, right? Stress response will shut everything functional down. It shuts down the immune system, the digestive system. It shuts down pretty much everything and focuses on the perceived threat. And that's why it's very tricky to go there. And in the flow state, you are in this very calm, most creative state of being where all these ideas will pour in. How many times can you recall having received those ideas while in the shower, while in the gym, just being in a very relaxed, melancholy state? Those are the times where I just grab my phone and just voice record or quick, I have to put this down, I'm gonna forget. Those are the moments you want to aim for. And when you give yourself this understanding and explanation, so you shift your belief actually that this is no time wasted. This is the most precious time you can create for yourself because it's gonna amplify your productivity, your deliverables, even though you are having fun, so it feels like I should be guilty. I should not be here because I should not enjoy these all shoulds and must and whatnot, versus having the knowingness that this will bring me results, this will help me propel me forward and help me stay fit and healthy so I can be there for long for my mission. That makes a huge difference.
I think also it's a mindset shift, right? I always feel like, me personally, if I'm doing something, so I'm a gamer as well. Like I love playing, PS5. I shouldn't probably because I've got too much other stuff, but I really enjoy it, right? And I like going to the gym. But I also feel like when my mindset is at a happy state, I'm more driven. I'm enjoying what I'm trying to do. I think all of us are trying to escape the 9 to 5, right? And in order to do that, you need to enjoy what you're doing. If I was not having those moments of reflection or moments of just having fun, when I go back to the baby or the startup in a kind of a non-happy state of mind, I would hate it for the mindset to shift and feel like the startup is the 9 to 5, and then the feelings of, I don't really want to do this, and then feelings of doubt coming. So I would say like that type of mindset shift is super important to build a happy mindset for then you to transfer that into your startup and then create that happiness while you're trying to build something.
Yeah, because your staff will feel that too.
Exactly.
Like, what's the energy you bring in? What's the level of inspiration you bring in? If you are depleted, how do you expect your staff to be happy and working and delivering and whatnot? It always starts with you.
But I think, Shafeekh, also we should also be aware that we are at a distinct disadvantage when it comes to all the other companies that we are competing with. When we are building these things as startups, we are going into the market and we are saying that, hey, we're going to compete with these corporates who are already providing maybe similar services to you, and you're going to take market share away from them in a leaner, faster, more cost-effective manner, better manner. So it's like the pressure will be on. We don't even have the resources that, we are going after the bohemians, and it's not going to be an easy fight, and you have to be extremely passionate about what you're building, and you have to have a lot of conviction in what you're building. And so this idea of like feeling guilty, I think it will definitely come, because I do think that founders have to work hard. Like it's working 16 hours or 14 hours or 16 hours. I have been on that trajectory. But I really feel that that's my norm. I enjoy building this. I enjoy building new features into Binary. I enjoy building this platform. If the day I stop, I will really want to question whether I want to even continue building this startup or not. I think do this whole idea of a startup to begin with because they're builders or they have like some other sort of like interest aligned, because they know that it's going to be extremely difficult. And they're going through, like, they're going to go on a roller coaster which nobody else in the world will be able to tolerate as a human being. And like they do this knowing what's on the plate for them. But
how does it affect your personal relationship, family? Like data shows 40% of divorce rates are there in founders, right? They have very less time for family, friends, doing hobbies. Like, so how do you, there should be some balance, right, on this, even if you're obsessed.